right, I'm here. Dang, guys. He's late. He's late. Get him. He's always late. What's wrong with this guy? I had to set up some things. You know, sometimes stuff comes in the way. And I still got wires all over the place. The screen just went out. Why did that happen? Ugh. This is what happens when you keep on messing around with stuff and it doesn't work the way you want it to. All right, we don't need the music. It's fine. We don't need the music. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Underdog Theology, the show that's always late and sometimes has a point. But today, the point is to announce something. Here's something, a big announcement. We're trying something new, trying something old school, but new. You guys want to call in? Kinda? All right, I did it the freeway. So it's not, you can't call on your phone, which is kind of a bummer. But if you follow the link in the description right now, Mule Rider already did it. If you follow the link in the description right now, it'll take you to a Linktree thing. And then you click on Underdog Barkline, and it is live. You'll come into like a web page that has like a little like, hey, how's it going for me? And then you hit reply. You could say whatever you want, and I can play it. And that's how we can do it. We could do a call-in show where you don't call in, and I can kind of vet things. Like, because here's the deal. There's a lot of people who don't like me. They just don't. I've tried to work it out with them. They just don't like me. They're just like, we love Joe Webbin, hate Jews and stuff. And I'm just like, why are you so mean to me? So like the way that I can do it to where it's not like live, but I can kind of vet it like a little bit. Today is not going to be that much. I might have to take this one down. But my hope is that like we could get a bunch of these things in and you can ask me questions. You could share your thoughts. What do you think about the evangelical landscape? Some big story, a news story that you want to talk about and you want to hear some of my thoughts about, maybe something that hasn't come across my radar. Then you can send a little message. And if you want to be anonymous, you know, write something funny. No Seymour Butts or something like that. Okay. All right. This isn't The Simpsons. But you could say something and, then we can talk and I feel like it would be a little bit more personal and a little bit easier than going through here and, going through the chat. And it's just kind of fun. And, yeah, we could even do some funny stuff with it. So like we could do a whole show where it's Underdog Barkline and you guys just leave your thoughts, share whatever you're passionate about. It could be movies, because Heidi loves it when we talk about movies. But obviously like church stuff, theology, evangelical stuff. You want to talk about Driscoll. You want to talk about Driscoll and Doug Wilson, which I feel like we probably should today. You want to talk about that stuff? We can talk about that stuff. But also, I can hear your thoughts. Like, that sounded weirder than I wanted it to, but I can hear what's on your mind. And in a way that's a little bit easier to understand than the chat sometimes of, kind of going in between stuff. Sometimes I feel like I'm reading something when you guys are talking that I'm not supposed to be reading, and also just know that, if you say it on there and I show it or we listen to it on a show, that's public. So like, if you don't want to go into detail about stuff, don't do it. Because I don't want to share something that you're going to be like, actually, can you edit that out? Because I don't know how to do that. All right. Like I do, but I don't want to do that. But yeah, it could be fun. It could be fun. So I have it live right now. Like it's live. We could go in. Let's listen. We got the first one. The first one that's not from me as a test is from Mule Rider. All right. So let's make sure. I think everything's set, so we can listen.
Hey Dean, what's up? You know what I'm tired of? I'm
What?
tired of churches not cooperating with one another just because they have such big egos that they only want to work with themselves. It's ridiculous.
Ooh, spicy topic a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of churches that like they just don't want to work with anybody because either they think they're right, which is part of, a big problem of just being like, we are the only ones who know truth. We're the only ones who have, uh, you know, just we understand everything about theology, and these people don't. They're dangerous. Why? Not because they're like falling into some big theological trap, but just because we do hymns and they don't. Simple stuff like that can cause a church to be like, oh, we're not gonna do anything with that church, or we baptize babies and they don't, which could be a bigger deal. But when we're talking about like, I don't know, I guess I don't know where you're coming from as far as like the specific kinds of things you want churches to do together. But I mean, like evangelism is something that every Christian church should be able to partner with and be able to do something with. Like, for example, like if there's some kind of a shelter in your town, like for people who are without homes, you can go there and preach the gospel, and you should be able to do that. And the church down the street who believes the gospel should be able to do that. And regardless of whether that's Baptist, Presbyterian, Anglican, you should, if you can agree on the gospel, you should be able to at least in some way partner with people. But there's also like you talk about like that kind of like too big for the britches kind of thing, where a lot of churches are like, well, we know the right way to do stuff. Like we might be able to like have something in agreement about theology and be able to kind of maneuvers around some of like the hurdles, but we just do it better, or like we don't need you, which is like so sad. Like, because if we're brothers and sisters in Christ, we should be able to, like I said, be able to do something together, but also we should want to be around other Christians. Like it's weird when churches, and I've been around so many of these churches. Sorry, I gotta look at this. Okay. Now we're gonna, oh, Dark Smurf. I know Dark Smurf. I'm gonna love hearing that voice. I gotta do that. Because I guess I get emails for it, which is probably good, but also not helpful on the show. So keep on sending it. If you just follow that link, if you got a weird voice, you got a weird voice. Who cares? You've watched probably hours and hours of my weird voice, so it's all right. It's fine. But yeah, you should want to be around other churches. And I've been around plenty of churches that are just like, it's like they don't think any other church exists. Here's something. Like, I remember a while ago, I met with, in a city with a church, that I was interested in planting a new church in. And, my sending church, they wanted me to go and, talk with, the pastor who was at that church. Well, I was like all excited about it, a little bit nervous because I knew this guy was kind of like prickly and, far more conservative. And, I've had some run ins in the past with him, but that's like typical of any fundy. So I was just like, okay, like let's pick each other's brains about stuff, like we're both for the gospel. We're both Baptists. Like this should be easy. And I'm talking with this guy, and I just immediately get the idea this guy doesn't do a dang thing in this town. Like he's just one of those pastors that just preaches on Sunday and just rules his tiny little congregation, doesn't care about the city. Like I think that's abundantly clear. And waits for the sinners to come to him kind of deal. So like I got that immediately in this conversation. So I started like kind of going like, oh, I'm concerned, as we're talking, and I'm sure he was concerned because, I probably wasn't wearing a suit or something like that. But like, I'm just like, this guy doesn't know, like I start talking about I didn't even live in this town. Okay. But I started talking about other pastors that I knew in this city who were doing good things. And like even some of the churches that I didn't personally know them, but I knew what they were trying to accomplish, you know, like a simple Google search could see like, oh, these guys, they run this ministry, that ministry. That's cool. That's helpful for the city. That's good for the furtherance of the gospel. That's fantastic. Let's do that. You know, like let's be a part of that. Let's promote that. Or, you know, oh, maybe we shouldn't be, you know, focusing on that. Maybe we, you know, they're doing a great job there. So maybe we could do something else that's, you know, similar, but not, you know, stomping on any toes. And so I start talking about those guys. He didn't know anyone. The guy had been there for, I don't know, like 10 years. He didn't know any of the churches that I talked about. He didn't know any of the pastors. And again, I don't even live in this town, and I'm naming pastors and ministries, and, you know, I'm going like, hey, this is what, and like, granted, you know, fresh guy coming into a new place. I did my research, but holy crap, you don't know anybody. You've never even heard of that church that is actually one of the only growing churches in this town. Like that's nuts. And I feel like that's just laziness. You know, some pastors, some ministries, they are lazy, you know, like they're just wanting to survive. Well, Jesus hasn't called us to survive. He's called us to fight. He's called us to, you know, send out missionaries to go out and preach the gospel. That's what we're supposed to be about. And so, yeah, we could partner with other Christians, and we should. And we should be excited when somebody is doing something. And like, yeah, you might not be able to agree with all of their theology. That's always going to be, there's going to be sticking points, of course. It's why you don't go to that church, right? Like there are reasons why you don't go to that church. But you could still be excited that the gospel is going out. You know, this was something back in the day with Mars Hill. You know, obviously, Mars Hill had some issues. Their pastor had some issues for sure. But I remember hearing so much, you know, growing up about Mars Hill as if like we should like be disgusted with what was going on. And like there were hundreds of people getting baptized. Like, yeah, there's a lot of hurt that came from it because, you know, a lot of spiritual abuse. I'm not trying to negate that, but lots of people got saved. And at the time, no one knew about the abuse stuff. All they knew is like Mark Driscoll was successful, and they were like so mad about it. So many people were mad about it, like as if he was stealing congregants. They weren't. We live 25 minutes north. Like there's no one's driving that far in Seattle traffic to be able to go to the Ballard campus, you know? So they aren't doing that. Instead, they're just, you know, actually reaching people. And there were people who were upset about that. We could celebrate wins from other denominations, other churches. So yeah, it's a weird thing. I wish people would just kind of get over themselves and, you know, just partner with people that you can. And if you have concerns, like if you're like, I think they preach the gospel, but there's some other shady stuff, like maybe you can't do some things with them. Like maybe the only thing you can do is a combined Easter service. That's fine. At least try to do something. You know, like try it. And if you learn something, don't invite those people back, right? I don't know. Yeah, I wish people would just, you know, start to think a little bit highly of others, a little bit more lowly of themselves. Something like Paul told us to have like the mind of Jesus or something. I don't know. We got another one. This is from Airbud. Oh no.
Wolf, wolf, wolf.
All right, that's our first prank one. So, way to go. I'm going to go with Winsome Pickett. Come on, who else? Who was that? Has someone already like claimed it in the chat? And I was like, guys. But who knows? Maybe that was Joel Webbin. You never know. You never know. I think I know this guy.
Hey, Dean. Just wanted to talk a little bit about something that came up in church the other day. The Sunday school leader was talking about how great it was that so many young men were coming back to church, that young men are much more likely to rejoin church. I see, a big issue with that, in that I think some of that resurgence was connected to influencers like Charlie Kirk and others that have connected the church to what I would call Christian white nationalism. I wonder if you had any thoughts on that.
First off, do you not realize my good buddy who wants to stay anonymous, Dark Smurf, do you not realize how good it is to hear your freaking voice, man? Ah, I love that guy. Yeah, it is super troubling to see, like, I always like the red flags go off whenever anyone is like, these people are coming back, regardless of who it is. They're like I've heard some pastors like celebrate when and celebrate not in a way that's like, thank Jesus. It's like, look what we're doing. We rock at this, but like they're like talking about immigrants, I could get very specific about the kinds of immigrants because, man, that it's just people. People have souls, and we should be grateful and happy when they come to the church and hear the gospel. But yeah, this idea that there are young men who are now coming to hear the gospel, and yeah, a lot of it is because of one, there's like this masculine guilt. There's something going on right now where we have like those influencers like Charlie Kirk, definitely not as influential as Kirk, but like the Fuentes guy, what is it? Jordan Peterson, those kinds of guys, who go out there and they're like, you need to get involved with something, young men. You need to use your passion, young men, and do something build something. Like, that's a huge thing, of this idea of building. And, a lot of people, like, they come out of the woodwork trying to build something, and they can't do anything in the secular world. That's a ongoing thing where, you got people who want to be involved in community, want to be involved building something, and they have no idea how to do that in the secular world. And so they just kind of fumble into the church, or maybe it's like a last resort of going to the church for this kind of stuff. And to me, that's always, you can tell when that happens, of someone who's like, yeah, I'm coming back to church. I tried to get involved in local politics and that didn't work. So here I am. So that's an ongoing thing. But yeah, as far as the church goes, I think we can be grateful that, like, regardless, I kind of think of like Paul going like, there are people out there who are preaching the gospel and they're doing it for completely wrong reasons, but their gospel is true. So like, I am at least happy that the gospel is getting out. I kind of wish these guys did it differently, but I am grateful for that. So if it's a simple thing of like just being grateful that there are men coming back, I think one, you can notice the red flags and like, maybe if these young men start coming into your church, you could like start dealing with it and having conversations of like, why are you here? Not in a way that's like at the front door, pushing them out again. But like, you don't want to be a bouncer for Jesus, but you do want to be protective of, what's going on in your church, the culture of your church, and make sure that it stays gospel oriented and not just, pushed by different political movements outside of the church. And, some of these guys are bringing that political baggage in. So yeah, we got to be careful about that and have those conversations. We can be grateful that they're there, and then have those conversations. But I don't, I think eventually that stuff gets found out, I don't know if we're going to have like a big resurgence of Mark Driscollism, like again, going back to that guy. But like the how dare you stuff, and that becomes so popular within churches. I don't know if we're going to see that big of a resurgence of that in places that it isn't happening already. Like some of those churches are still in that spot. I don't know if we're going to see that, but I do think that there's a danger of it. And if there's a danger of it, then maybe we should be, having those conversations. But I would say first, just to be grateful that it's happening. I would be careful and have like your antennas, reading everything. I don't know if it needs to be something like, unless you start seeing, like, if you have like 20 dudes, who come in from college, like a college that's close to you, and they all, watch some Jordan Peterson videos together, and then they're all coming to your small group, like that's an invasion, like there's a lot of ideology that probably needs to be corrected. And really, like, I mean, these guys still need the gospel, like the idea of building things as men, and this weird version of masculinity where you're sitting in an armchair and sipping coffee, and that's how you build things. um like that, they need to be corrected on that. But if it's, one dude, that's, our churches need stronger cultures, stronger gospel cultures, to where, two people can come into a church and be impacted by the gospel culture of your church, rather than affecting it and infecting it. So yeah, I was gonna say that, Dark Smurf, but then I was like, oh, some of these other Baptists, they get a little like, we can't talk about it, so this isn't the olive. But yeah, so I think that you can be grateful for it, be aware of like the issues that can come up, and if it's a lot of people, then probably need to talk to leadership right away, because that stuff, those people aren't chill. These guys, like, who are all about like wanting to change things and build things. They're not just like going to come in and be like, we're just here to listen. Like, these are the kind of guys that are coming in, and they got the hot takes, and they got a lot of questions, but the questions are really more of their hot takes. So, like, you might want to talk to leadership if it's like a college group or something, like a bunch of people. But yeah, I don't know. Like, there are hills to die on. People being happy that it's happening. And, is it really happening? I don't know. I don't really see that where I'm at, but if you're down there and you have some people who are really impacted by Kirk, I could disagree with those people, but if it brings them to Jesus, like they came to your church, that's good. Like if they're coming to your church, that's a good thing. So at least there's that, and they're not going to, some church that has bad theology, or I hope not, because you're there, right? Like, so hopefully it's not bad theology, but yeah. So I think you can be grateful, but also be aware of the issues. So I said that probably 8 times. That's what these bark lines are going to be. All right, let's see. Did we get another one from Airbud? But thank you, Dark Smurf. Love to hear your voice, man.
What's up, Dean? I have a quick question about how we can keep the conversation going forward when we're trying to critique those in our camp, but they can't see or look at what's going on because of issues going on the left. So 2 examples. I was talking to a guy about how the American church has a really hyper-individualistic mindset, which I don't think is necessarily biblical. And then he immediately retorted back with, oh, well, that's better than the collectivist left mindset. And it kind of just stalled the conversation. And I had another conversation with a gentleman where I was saying, man, conservatives online are really behaving in a way that is just not great. And he said, well, they don't support abortion, and I'd rather have someone being a little bit mean online. And I just felt like the conversation continued to get stalled because things are going on elsewhere, and I'm not sure how to get past that.
That's hard. That's a hard one to get past, because it is like how culture has gone. We've gone into like this extremism thing. We've talked about that a bunch, but like it is all or nothing. Like, so, and the lines have been drawn, and it's not theological lines, it's political lines. Like, this is the fundamentalism of, like, the new fundamentalism of the day, is where, remember back in the day, maybe, I don't know how long you've been listening. And I will say, if you have if you put your name on there, you can put your first name and things, like, that's cool too. But if you want, like, if you've been around the channel, maybe just for me, help me by, putting your username. or at least like close to it. You don't have to put all like the numbers or underscores or something, just so I can kind of relate and be like, oh, that person. But if you've been around the channel for a long time, you might remember I used to like draw those circles of separation and showing what fundamentalism is. And a lot of those lines that we used to use, like things like baptism, things like women in leadership, we used to have like those be some of our lines. Now it's a lot of political stuff, and the political stuff is stuff like abortion, stuff like LGBTQ issues, all that kind of stuff. Those are our new lines. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be a part of some of the lines that we have. But they shouldn't be everything. They shouldn't be, like, and you should be able to hold the tension. And what I'm hearing from you, Tyler, is like, you're having these conversations and these people are just like, well, at least, and then, like, I'm not a dang Democrat, like that kind of stuff. Or I didn't vote for Obama, like stuff like that. Well, you can say, like, you don't even have to fight those battles. Like, even if you want to, even if you're like, well, that's not exactly, what they think, or Obama, he wasn't that bad, like some of that kind of stuff. You don't have to have those battles, especially if you don't believe them. But you don't even have to get into that. Just say, well, can't two bad things exist at the same time? Like, we can hold the tension of that, can't we? Like that. This isn't supposed to be happening in the church. Now, it might get into like some pretty heated discussion, but it sounds like there's already some heated discussion. But you can even use the issue of abuse in the SBC. Like, I think everyone can kind of gather around, and even the guys who are in the SBC who are like, Rachel Den Hollander has them demonized, like that kind of stuff. Like, they can at least admit that the abuse that does happen is wrong, right? And you can also still agree that, the churches that have women in leadership shouldn't be a part of the SBC. And they shouldn't, because that would actually go against the Baptist faith and message. So, like, you can hold the tension of those things. And I think, like, maybe that could be an example that you could use. If they're like, oh, there's so many issues in evangelicalism, and they bite back with, hey, well, like I'd rather have those issues than whatever. You can say, yeah, but there's still issues, right? Like, they're still bad. We should be dealing with this stuff. And just because someone promotes something that you like doesn't mean that they promote Jesus, right? Like Mark Driscoll, I don't think he promotes Jesus, or at least he doesn't promote him well. He can talk about abortion being wrong. He can talk about, the LGBTQ stuff and be right about those things. Like, he can do that, but he still hurt hundreds, thousands of people in Seattle. Like, he still should not be in ministry. Like, just because someone promotes something that is good or right doesn't mean everything they promote and do is good. And like, maybe just use like the SBC as that example and be like, like, we can hold this intention and say, like, some of this is still bad. And, but we're getting to a point where some of these things, if you constantly fight these battles, you're just going to get in arguments. Like, some of these people don't want to listen. And I think, like, you and I have to be wise about when to bring these up, what hills we want to fight and, die over, and which ones do we want to keep that friendship? Like, sometimes we just got to bite our tongue, and it sucks. And I'm not saying it's right, but sometimes you got to do that, right? Like, how many times, it's not like you lied to your spouse. Not saying do that. But like, how many times have you had an argument with your spouse or significant other or parent, and like, you still are like, you're wrong, but you're just like moving on. Nothing good is going to come from this. Like, so you just stop it. And if it keeps on going on, well, you could always find a new church. I think that far too many people stay in a church for too long when it comes to this stuff and just get into fights, and then they don't have any friends because everyone is like, that guy sucks because he, defended Obama that one time. Or why does Dean keep on bringing up Obama? Stuff like that. But like sometimes you got to find a new church. And I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying, like, if it's constantly coming up, you gotta look at it and be like, all right, is this a place for me to be able to have good relationships? But also, is that relationship worth this fight? Because they don't agree about, I don't know, if they listen to like Doug Wilson stuff, that's a constant in my life of like, this person likes Doug Wilson's stuff on that topic or that topic. Am I going to write them off completely? I think they're dumb for liking it, but some of those relationships you want to keep. So you kind of have to just, I don't know, love covers a multitude of sins, I guess. All right, let's listen to Franklin.
I don't mean to alarm you, but Harrison Ford is right behind you. I think he wants to chat.
Harrison Ford?
No, seriously. Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Franklin. Sorry. It's like I am realizing everyone's turning on their mics for this and that thing. So we might have some like warbled audio just because of, people speaking on their iPhones and stuff. So sorry if I didn't hear everything. But yeah, Harrison Ford is behind me. He's running. He's charging me, maybe. So, but it's Harrison Ford. So he's my favorite actor. Of course, he's going to be nice to me. I'm going to be like, oh, I loved you in, I don't know, Sabrina. And he'll be like, what? Not Indy? And he'll be like, so flattered. All right. We got the one, the only Aaron Armstrong.
Dean, I want to know what the most disappointing cup of coffee in your area is and why it's Tim Hortons.
I was going to say, man. One, love you, Aaron. Two, like Tim Hortons is legit bad. It's water. It's brown water that doesn't taste like anything. And they put sugar in it. I don't even think their sugar has taste. All right. Like, I'm just not, no. But also, like, I don't know what it is about Canada. Canadians don't know how to do coffee, okay? Okay? They don't know how to make the coffee. I don't know why I did that sound effect. I can't see the sound effects, so I don't know. But yeah, like there's just like even like local coffee shops that are supposedly so good and everybody goes and they spend $8 at. I'm just like, this still tastes bad. There's one in Regina. There's one coffee shop that I actually like. But I mean, most of the time I'm just doing Starbucks. I'm a simple Seattle boy. I'm just having Starbucks because I don't care. I don't care about your fancy coffee that's super expensive. Like that's where we're at. Starbucks is the cheaper coffee now. That's a thing. Like if I just need normal coffee, my wife makes the coffee. So she just makes the coffee and I drink the coffee. We get like it's like one of the like blends is Three Sisters Kicking Horse. We get Kicking Horse coffee. It's super good. It is Canadian. So maybe they do know how to make coffee. I don't know, but they know how to roast beans at least. But yeah, like I'll have it at home or I'll have Starbucks and that's pretty much it. And if I'm out, like if I'm going to Timmy's, I'm getting a nice cap. I don't care if it's -35. I'm getting a nice cap. Heidi is here. Now, I saw something in the chat about her being nervous about, like saying like, I'm not sure if I want people to hear my voice or something like that. So here we go. Let's all listen. Let's criticize Heidi's voice, not the content of what she's saying. All right. Is that, I'm a feminist. I don't know.
Aaron and I are going through Colossians and Philemon with our small group. And tonight we're going through the hymn on Christ in 1 Colossians 1. And this question struck me a little weird, Dean, so I wondered what your thoughts were. It says, what does it mean for Jesus to be the image of the invisible God? Colossians 1:15. Think about how Adam and Eve were meant to be the image of God as people who brought order to chaos. Genesis 1:27 through 28. Does God's image have to do with actions, status, or both? And the thing that struck me a little funny was that line, Adam and Eve were meant to be in the image of God. Do you think that Adam and Eve became less in the image of God when they sinned, and that we can get maybe more and less of the image of God based on our behavior?
I don't think so. I don't think you can become more or less. The way that I've always, taught it is it's scarred. It's scarred, but that doesn't mean like it's gone. It means like it will get better, but it will be in glory. Like it won't, like, I don't know if it's like something about, like, obviously it's not really about our appearance. It's about like who we are as people, our identities. But like, it's not like we lost a whole bunch of the image of God in the garden when Adam and Eve sinned. I don't think, but that's not to say, like, I think it will be fully realized in glory when we have our glorified bodies. Like, I think that's how typically most pastors would talk about it. I do think that a lot of people get confused about this. Like, I've heard, not even heard, I remember seeing it in commentaries of people talking about like, oh, it's like an icon, because that's like kind of the Greek in, like, they always take it down to like the base of the Greek, and then they're, making all kinds of conclusions. It's just kind of silliness at that point. But like, they're like, oh, it's like icon, like an icon on your computer. And so he is the icon, the way that you hit the icon of Jesus, and that's how you get to God. And it's like, but that makes it such like a trivial thing. I think what Paul was trying to communicate there was that everything that is God is Jesus. And there is distinctness, but everything that he is what God is. He is no lesser. And like those, like, if you think about it, like, that's really hard to communicate to people. And maybe back in that context, like that idea of an icon would mean a little bit more and make more sense than how we are today. But I think people can get really, really confused and come out with some dumb statements. And yes, I have heard that, like, oh, well, we were made in the image of God, and so he is the image of God. But it's not the same. Like, Adam and Eve in the garden don't hold a candle to, incarnate Jesus Christ. Like, it's not the same. Like, the only thing that is the same is like that he is a new family, like a federal head, like what we get in Romans. But I wouldn't take it any further than that, because then you get people making some big mistakes and start making it to where, well, Jesus is lower than God because he's the icon, but he's not like the full thing. But that's like, if you look at the context in Colossians 1, like, that's the whole point. The whole point is that Jesus is God. And so, like, why would you be doing that? I need to pause this just for a second. But yeah. So it's a confusing text. Like, whenever you're talking about like the incarnation, it gets very confusing very fast, right? Like, I mean, just ask the Theocast guys about that. Like, it can be very confusing. But I think like Bible studies and stuff probably are just trying to make it, like, I don't know, more conversational. And sometimes when you're making things more conversational, you're making some mistakes. I wouldn't compare Jesus being the icon of God as the same as Adam and Eve being made in the image of God. Like, because one, there's different points. So like, you always have to interpret text based off of like where the text is flowing. And the text in Genesis is talking about, obviously, like, how we're made and how we're different than animals. And we're different in a lot of ways, obviously, like the way that we look, but it's more of who we are. And that's what Moses was trying to get across, and Paul is trying to get across that Jesus is God. He is the fullness of God. And so he uses that terminology that maybe in their context they would have understood a little better than we do now, in trying to like read it back, because icons to us are just like, they're separate things, which is part of what Paul is trying to communicate there, but it's lesser. Like the icons are lesser things. You know, the logo for Underdog Theology is an icon, but it's not Underdog Theology. It's just something to help communicate that. And I've seen commentaries, I've seen Bible studies that start to try to use that kind of verbiage to communicate that. And it's just, no, Paul is just trying to say that, and not trying, he is effectively saying, especially to those readers who would have understood a little bit better than us because of their local context, but he is trying to communicate that God is the same as Jesus. Jesus is the same as God, even though there is distinctness between the two. But yeah, so yeah, Bible studies get a little weird, and they gotta have us talking about something, right? Thanks for saying hi, Heidi.
Hey, Dean.
Pam.
It's Pam here.
Hi.
This is Pam. Great idea to have a bark line. So, my question is, how do you keep from being cynical or battle against cynicism when you've been serving in the local church for many years and you just feel kind of burned and burnt out? I don't expect an answer necessarily, but just any thoughts on that? How to stay involved but not burn out?
Well, it's going to sound super cheesy. Well, first, hi, Pam. It's awesome to hear your voice. Obviously, you do have your YouTube videos, and I get your voice from that, but it's fun to hear it. To me, that's kind of fun. But also, yeah, it is hard, obviously. But I think it's going to sound cheesy, but you got to keep your eyes on Jesus. Like, why do you do what you do? Is it for the relationships that might be hurt, right? Like, is it for the status that could be taken away? And I mean, like, being a Sunday school teacher or being involved in your local church in a way that you have like a role, like you have a distinct thing that is your thing. And are you doing it for that? Are you doing it just so you have friends? Well, obviously, as a Christian, like, those things are helpful sometimes, obviously, especially the friendship stuff. But your goal is to worship Jesus through what you're doing at that church. And the best way that I can say, like, that I've fought against cynicism, which I like, it's not to say you're always winning, right? Like, that's an ongoing thing. How can I like still talk about Joel Webbon stuff and still not call him all the names that I see so many Christians just throw around names on X, and it's just like again, this guy, he's not cool. I just, every time I see something from him, and it sucks because like he's popular, so like it keeps on coming my way. But like talking like John Root, calling people clowns, I've noticed that a lot. Everybody is a clown. Like, I don't think that would ever pop into my head to call somebody. Like, first off, like, weird thing to call somebody, but also it's just like, how mean is that? Like, all the time, just anybody is a clown. Like, if they're a wolf, call them a wolf. Like, if you could use biblical language. But like, to me, that's cynicism. Like, he uses it to talk about like liberals and progressives and, people who disagree on the political stuff. And I think that is far more cynical than looking at, what did Doug Wilson say? This guy is foolish. I think there's a big difference, even just in like, you might go like, oh, semantics. But to me, I think that there's a big difference between using biblical language to describe someone and then like just name calling. And I think that's an indicator of your heart, like where you're at. And like, that's not to say that, it hasn't popped into my head to call Joel Webbon a few names, but the reason why I don't is because like, I still have to think about how I represent Jesus, because that's the goal. even, on this podcast, not to get like holier than thou, but it's for Jesus at the end of the day. Like, I want Christians to be encouraged as a way to worship Jesus. That's the end goal, is to worship Jesus. So like that helps me fight against cynicism, of looking at pastors who have hurt me, of churches who have failed me, of leaders who continue to fail their audiences, continue to swindle audiences. The reason why I personally can fight against that stuff and keep a positive view of Christianity is because Jesus is my anchor, because he said the gates of hell will not prevail against the church. He promised that. So that helps me to kind of like get my gear on, and, or to use a KJV, to gird up my loins and, fight back a little bit. Not in a way that's just mean and cruel. Maybe we're a little sarcastic sometimes. It's kind of fun to be sarcastic sometimes. But I think in a healthy way, because I know that Jesus is going to win. Like, Jesus is going to win out against all these guys. So that helps me. Like in the like local context, like I think it's important to remember why you're doing those specific tasks that are burning you out. What is it? And also, like, if it is something that is just burning you out for burning you out's sake, and you're no longer like worshiping Jesus through that thing, get rid of it. If it's a burden to you, get rid of it. Like whatever that thing is, if it's a ministry, you might need to stop doing the ministry for a little while. Just focus on being at the church and hearing the gospel and applying it to your life. Just focus on that for a while. Because like you might look at what's going on and how it's affecting people, and maybe that's part of it. But yeah. So like focusing on Jesus, keeping him the focus of everything that you're doing, but specifically like the things that are causing you the frustrations. And then also realizing, all right, this is going to sound counterintuitive to what I just said, but realizing that people are not as smart as you think they are. Like that has been really helpful for me, of just like, it is like some of this foolishness is the same foolishness. Like some of the foolishness of Doug Wilson is the same foolishness of Joel Webbin, is the same foolishness as Mark Driscoll. It's the same foolishness as even some aspects in the TGC stuff. Like people make dumb mistakes. And when you start to like get these people off pedestals a little bit, it helps to like go like it's, I don't know how to put it. If it was like Jared C. Wilson, or Joe Thorne, or some of these guys that I've read, that I've listened to, Aaron Armstrong, that I've read their blogs, read their books, and have been encouraged by, and like they keep on making the big mistakes, then that's one thing. And if that's you with like whoever's in your life, like that does suck. And that is a hill that you'll have to keep on trying to roll that boulder up. And it might feel like a losing fight sometimes. But if you're like looking at the landscape, just know that like those people aren't as smart as you think they are. Like, don't let them be on pedestals. Al Mohler is not like some patron saint of evangelicalism. He makes mistakes too. He's kind of a weird dude, he doesn't live in our world. He's an alien in some ways. He's just born in like some library somewhere. Like that, like if you understand like people have faults and like everyone is flawed and they're not like perfect, it hurts way less when they let you down. And you can kind of just like think of them as, just the average schmo. And that doesn't impact you as much as like someone who you really love and appreciate. So if it's like the big landscape of evangelicalism and seeing people make mistakes and that's what's burning you out, just remember a lot of those people, one, they're fake. Some of them are fake Christians, so that's part of it. But also, like, they're not as smart as, we think they are sometimes. And, that helps. That helps to be like, okay, let's lower, like our expectations for people a little bit, and realize that, like, that's kind of been my mentality for the last, like, few years. Like, I think I said it a while ago. Like, I know I'm real. I don't know if you're real. I don't know if Mark Driscoll is real. I don't know if anyone else is real. But I can know that my faith in Jesus is real. And that's what I'm going to, like, that's my identity. So, like, anyone else who messes up, fails, like, that's on them. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just like the way my brain works, but that has really helped me to be like, it's me and Jesus versus the world. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Not in a way where I don't want other people involved in my life and stuff like that, or I don't want encouragement from other saints. That's not what I'm saying. But if, someone that I thought was like on fire for God gave up the faith, it's not going to affect me as much. I might be sad, but it's not going to make me question things. It's not going to burn me out to see someone, fail in the faith, that person. It's not, because it's me and Jesus versus the world. So I don't know, maybe that, like, the Stellar Cart helped me back in the day. Let's go. We have a bunch of pseudo intellectuals running around and people can't tell the difference between them and real scholars. Yeah. Can confirm I'm not as smart as I think I am. I mean, me too. But it's just like, you can only control so much. So, like, let that be your world when it comes to your faith and, like, your encouragement. You could be discouraged by other people, like, abandoning the faith and stuff. Like, it might hurt, but, like, don't let that be, like, something that, like, really gets you down. If it is, like, I think you're putting too much trust and faith in people and maybe not aware of just how sinful we all are. Like, I don't know. Dean is cooking right now. We let him cook, y'all. No, I'm not. There's no pots. There's no pans. There's no pasta. I want some pasta. Is that Bozo or Pennywise? Sorry, Dean. I get the point. Where? I don't know. I don't get it. This is what happens when you go from one thing over to a different chat. Yeah. All right. Okay. We're running a race in Christ. Yeah. But like, again, it's just like, it's you and Jesus versus the world. All right. And if you let other people impact that and, like, let them into that relationship, if they let you down, it will hurt so stinking bad, guys. Like, I don't think it's a defense mechanism either. Like, I think Paul kind of tells us, follow me as I follow Christ. It's like, okay, yes, like, you're following Paul, but as he follows Christ. And if he doesn't follow Christ no more, don't follow Paul. All right, we got Sasims hopping into the bark line.
Hey, Dean. This is Sims from your YouTube. I just have, I'm trying to sound really intelligent. Are you concerned living in Canada that some of the issues that we're experiencing in the US, you will begin to experience in Canada? I don't remember if we discussed this, but I remember some time ago, I saw that there was, like, a school shooting somewhere. I don't know if it was, I could be mistaken, Dean. I'm sorry. It's in British Columbia. But I was very shocked because I don't hear a lot about school shootings happening in Canada. So, yeah, that was my question. Are you concerned that these issues that we're experiencing here will become something that will be a part of your life in Canada? All right, that's it.
Fair questions, Sams. First off, nice to hear your voice. Yeah, I am concerned. Like, I'd like to be like, no, it's not going to happen. You're talking about the shooting over in BC. terrible situation. A singular moment, but still, I send my kids to school like all of you, like, you've had to do that. Like anyone with kids now, like you're taking a risk every morning, putting them on the bus. And here we do it too. And it sucks to think about it that way. But it is, something we have to live with now. It's just where we're at, I guess, as a culture. And, we are a culture. Like, yes, the United States is distinct from Canada, but there is a lot that is the same, and that there is a lot that is impacted by the U.S. on Canada because, like we watch the TV shows, we watch the movies, we read the books, we are on the same X, it's the same culture in a lot of ways. So there is definitely impact. So the issues, I do think about it sometimes. Like, I know pastors who have started very conservative, hyper, right-wing Christian nationalist organizations in the last couple of years. So it's happening. I would say, this is gonna, some people might be mad. Immigrants have kind of saved us. I don't think any of that stuff will have as much impact because there's just so much. Yes, they always talk about the United States being, what is it? The pot, the boiling pot, something else. It's something pot, where you get everybody together and everybody gets mixed in and it's all one culture now. They talk about the U.S. that way. It is way more in Canada. Way more. Everyone. It's a nation of immigrants. They're all over the place, from all over. You could have people, here from Africa. You could have people from, somewhere in Asia. You got people all over the place. One of my favorite things, and I remember saying this to a deacon, and the deacon got kind of weird, and that's how some of that culture is still there. I remember talking and being like, and one of my favorite things is going to Superstore and just standing in an aisle, and I hear 5 different languages, 5 different ones, and no one's saying, speak English. It's beautiful. I think that's the way cultures are supposed to be. In a free culture where ideas are supposed to win the day, that's the way it's supposed to be. The melting pot, it's not boiling. Come on.
I don't know what any of that means.
But yeah, it's a beautiful thing. You get all these different cultures, and so ideas win the day. It's not as much of a race thing because there's just not as many, which I think is helpful. It's not going to be a thing where someone has such an advantage, right now, what's happening in the States. So I think that's going to be something that's going to keep Canada from ending up like the U.S., whatever that is, however that works out with the final version of it. But yeah, so it is concerning. The rhetoric is getting more intense. Pierre, a career political guy, acting like he's for the little people. I can get really political, but I just don't think it's going to end up that way. What I do see is what I'm scared of a little bit more is a breaking off point to where there's more distinctness between Canada and the United States, because Canada, it's still under the rule of the crown. It's more Europe than it is United States. So that is I see that as maybe a breaking point, as something happening at some point in the future, which sucks because, family in the States and lots of connections there. And I don't want there to be any kind of hardship between the two countries. There shouldn't be. It feels like we're living in Canadian Bacon, the movie with John Candy. Why are we having fights? Why are people talking about, Carney being a governor and, all that kind of stuff? It feels so contrived and fake. But when it keeps on happening, fake becomes real. real fast. So, yeah, I am concerned a little bit. Let's see. Thanks for sending that in, Sims. If you want to send something in, I've got another 15 minutes or so. But you know, I don't know. Do you like it? I like hearing your guys' voices. I don't know if I'm giving good answers, but like in the future, my hope is that like it'll be left up as a voicemail thing, and we could just get your guys' responses, and then I can think about the responses a little bit, and then I can have like good answers, maybe. I don't know, or at least better answers, probably. So, yeah. I can tell you have been such a good pastor, Dean. I hope you feel encouraged too. Well, I appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say. It helps me to know that the scripture warns about apostasy as we approach the return of Christ. Yeah. But apostasy all the time. Paul dealt with apostasy in his age. Just look at Mark, right? He ran for the hills, ran back to his mama's house. What's up, Jared? Hey, I finally catch a live recording, but I'm wondering if that's just a side effect of celebrity influencer culture creeping its way inside the church. What is? I'm wondering if that's just a side effect, like the discouragement within the church because of what's happening out there. I mean, that's always been a thing, but yeah, that's so nice of you. Let's go down. We got Steven. What's up, dude? Right now in the UK, we're scratching our heads and wondering if the royal family will survive the current storm. Who knows? Who knows? Thank you for answering my question, Dean. You are very welcome. Guys, look at this. This is what happens when I don't have anything else to talk about. Oh, come on. Oh, it's too, where's the light? But it'll have to be right there. It's RoboCop. I'm going to be working on, changing the studio up a little bit. Probably get rid of Harrison Ford. I think he's too much of a distraction, obviously. Oh, come on. What are you thinking, Franklin? Just kidding. I got an email, so I think that means, no. I refuse. Okay, I'll play it. OKC Thunder fan.
Yeah. Long time listener, first time caller. I would like to know why you think the OKC Thunder is going to win it all this year, and why that they're better than the Seattle Supersonics ever would have been, and if they are actually better than the 94-95 Bulls. Thank you.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Okay, why the OKC Thunder, you jerk? I don't like to call people names, but I will for this one. Why? I like the disguising your voice bit too. But why the OKC Thunder fan thinks that they're going to win? They aren't. Did you see Jason Tatum? I don't like saying it because like the Thunder are all the way at the bottom, but right above that, so very close to my level of hatred is the Boston Celtics. And I don't like saying it, but Jason Tatum looks like Jason Tatum. And you got Brown playing out of his mind. How he's not like at the top of MVP. I mean, like Shea's great. All right. I'm not saying he's not. Although he loves to show off to the refs, and the refs love him so much. It's so frustrating. He shoots like 50 free throws a game. But he is great. And, but why people like the whole team is good. OKC, the whole team is good. We know that. They've got 3 all-stars. One's hurt right now, but they're a great team. Bad ownership, but a great team. But Boston, everyone was like, oh, I guess they're going to sell everybody. Remember that in the summer? Doesn't look like they should have done anything now. Like, The team just looks killer. And that was before Tatum came back. And then Tatum is back, and he's Tatum. It's just like, I don't think like anyone can compete with that if it's going to continue. If he's going to be as good as he was, I don't see anybody beating him. Yeah, but about the Sonics, like, come on, man. Well, first off, Kevin Durant doesn't even want to come around OKC. You know where he wants to go? He wants to go to Seattle. So there's that. Yeah, like Seattle, we had everybody, and there are like so many memorable teams, and we got a championship too. But yeah, I mean, like OKC's good. I can't fault them and say like they're a crap team, but I just hate them. I just hate them a whole lot. Let's see. Just got done with Zumba. It feels so good. Hi, Carol. Send Dean a voicemail on the Bark line. Yes, follow the link in the description. And it'll take you to another link, and you go Underdog Bark line, and then hit reply to that message, and boom, I get it. We should do an Underdog Theology NCAA bracket challenge. That would be fun. Maybe we will. There'll be 3 people. I think we did it one year, because Pastor John was in it. I need to hang out with Pastor John. Peyton Pritchard be cooking off the bench too. Yeah, that guy is so good and so frustrating, because you're just like, come on, he's so small. Somebody stomp him. And then he just keeps on. He's got good handles. I know nothing about sports, so I choose to believe the OKC Thunder are a competitive Zumba team. I mean, they probably could be. But yeah. All right. Should we call it? Time of death. Go sports. Don't do that, Aaron. You're better than that. I despise the nerds who are like, sports. Go sports ball. Just know what sports are. And if you don't like sports, then just like don't talk. I have family that is like this, and they're just like, they don't know what they're talking about with sports at all. And it's just like, how do you not at least know what's going on? Like, generally, my wife knows so much about sports, and she doesn't watch any of it. Now, I get that I watch a lot of basketball. So there's that. But it's just like, don't minimize my love for this thing. And don't act like it's not like a cultural thing. It is more of a cultural thing to be into sports than not. I don't think that's what you're doing, Aaron, but that's what some of my family members do. And it's just like, stop it. Stop it. Everyone likes sports except for you. When do you think you'll do this again? Like a loose idea? Probably, like, I'm thinking like once a week could be kind of fun. Because here's also something. Guys, you remember when I was like, I'm going to make videos, and then I haven't made videos? Well, part of that is because I'm just like bad at following through with stuff. But also like the Protestia Joe Thorne, not to like go into details of that again. But like that Protestia article like made me so mad. And I realized as I was like doing like this deep dive on Joel Webbin, and I'm going to like talk about like where he came from and all this stuff. I started thinking about it. I'm like, oh, that sounds a lot more like Protestia than it does me. And I don't want to do that. So if anyone else wants to make that video, you go do it. But I had the idea to like, oh, I could do that. And it could be kind of fun to do like this investigative stuff and find stuff. And I'm good at finding stuff. And you know, some of the editing things could be fun for me. And rewarding. And then like the videos do a lot better than live streams. But I was just like, I don't want to seem like that. Like I already get so many people who are like, oh, you're a gossip channel. And it's just like, bro, I'm just reacting to your podcast. How is that gossip? But like, I think if I were to do that, it would probably get a lot more of that stuff. And it kind of made me feel a little icky as I was like doing research on Webben's dad. Like, I was just like, and like, you could be like, oh, just cut that stuff out. Well, I think it's important to the story. And also, like, I think Webben would like it if I did it. And then it's like, it's just a lot of stuff. So, like, I'm just like, forget it. And so I don't know what I'm going to be doing for content. Like, I mean, like, there's a part of me that's just like, oh, just start Underdog Theology again and go back to that. But this seems like a lot more fun, is to do like the bark line and to have people call in with stuff. And like, some of it can be like serious and some of it can be funny. You know, we could get Airbud barking, and then we can get, you know, serious questions about theology and, you know, what's going on in the evangelical world. Like, that seems like a lot of fun to me. And right now I'm kind of just at that place where I just like, I like doing fun things. So that's where I'm at. So I would like to do a weekly bark line. The link will probably change a little bit, but it will always be in the description. And like, it'll always be on that linktree.com/Dean Lantini or whatever it is. And it'll just be there. But I'm going to change it. I want to record like an actual thing, because I just like talked into my MacBook really loud. Maybe with some music, playing. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm going to be doing that. So like, you'll be able to find it through that link and leave a message, share your thoughts. Like, it doesn't have to be a question, by the way. Like, you could just like have something that you want to say, and I can react to that, and that can be kind of fun. And it lets me download them, which is kind of awesome, because then I don't have to have like, I could have them into my Rodecaster and just like press one of these buttons and it can play, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's what I would like to do. So once a week, at least for a little bit. I'm clueless because my husband also doesn't watch it. I think it's great if someone enjoys it for them, though. Well, say that to Aaron, because Aaron hates all sports, and he's just a big old meanie who hates all the sports and thinks anyone who likes sports is dumb. He said that. He didn't say that. But he does work at not paying attention. That's not fun. Hopefully Dylan can call in next time. That would be cool. I'd love to hear from Dylan. Does the bark line have a barking dog? It should. Maybe I'll have that as a sound effect too. It'll get better. This was just like, I had the idea last night and I came up with a quick logo and threw it up. So thanks to Sims. I got a tail end. It's funny because of the dong thing. Okay. All right. I'm going. I'm heading out. Bye-bye. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope that it was helpful and it's fun to hear your voices. And Dark Smurf, we need to hang out sometime. Let's do a Zoomie. All right.